About a year ago, I was introduced to True Niagen, a supplement specifically designed to boost a key cellular resource called NAD. That's short for nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide. And I was really impressed with the research that showed that increased NAD levels can promote cellular repair, maintain healthy mitochondria, and increase energy throughout the trillions of cells in our body. I've been taking True Niagen ever since, and I am truly persuaded, which is why I'm so excited to welcome them back to the program. Let's get into how True Niagen works. From age 40 to 60, humans can experience a 50% decline in NAD, leaving our cells with a shortage of that incredibly valuable energy resource. Additionally, things like immune stress, poor diet, even alcohol consumption can all deplete our cell NAD levels. Research suggests that increased NAD can support cellular defense against these physiological stressors. True Niagen is designed to boost NAD levels and is backed by clinical research and regulatory approvals. Now, while the research is still evolving, I am truly impressed by the possibilities surrounding NAD and the research behind True Niagen. And I suggest you check out their information for yourself. To learn more about the research, science, and to order your supply of True Niagen supplement, visit drdrew.com/TrueNiagen and use the code DREW at checkout for a special discount on orders of 3 bottles or more. So that's my website, drdrew.com/TRUNIAGEN, and use the code DREW today.
Hey everyone, it's a dose of Dr. Drew.
Indeed it is, and today welcome the great Christina P. Hi, Christina.
Hi.
Hi, Janes. Hi, Mommy.
Miss you already, Mommy.
I know, and all the mommies are piling in. Somebody from Hawaii right off the top said, hi, mommies.
Nice.
And thank you guys for joining us today. Chris, those of you, the poutine topic is already on our Ustream here.
No.
So.
How's the volumes first? I want it before everybody gets all up in my grid about it.
Yeah, how's our volumes? Are we our mic levels adequate? We're the great Susan Pinsky is perfecting her engineering on this, and she is delighted with her progress. But we're sometimes getting the mics wrong. We'll have some calls too, though. Christine, I just wanted you to stop by and say hi, and I thank you so much for inviting me over to your mom's house to do the show with you that we do, which is After Dark, Dr. Drew After Dark, and I just happened to think you mentioned that you were listening to some of my other podcasts too.
I do. I was trying to follow the one you and Neil, what's his last name, did.
Neil Shubin.
About DNA and about
how
viruses repurpose and become whatever helpers. And I was thinking, it's not as an important topic as poutine is, but I'm glad you're doing science.
And that's kind of what I wanted to say is I have a podcast with Adam, and I have a podcast where I interview the likes of Neil Shubin, and then I do one with Christina where we look at Norman doing horrible things, and yet the one I feel best about when I finish is with you.
See,
which is
this. Can I tell you what though? Leanne Kreischer was on Where My Mom's At yesterday.
Yes.
And she saw this Instagram highlight of mine that I put up of you and I doing that poutine topic. And she said, you know what I love is seeing that side of Dr. Drew, that fun side, because you're always talking about smart stuff, right? Science stuff.
Yes.
And people get to see you looking at a guy taking a dump on some French fries.
That's and I think, what we were looking at.
And I think America and the world needs to know this, that you're watching those videos.
And I feel like I'm in an altered state when I'm with you there. It's sort of a different state than I'm ever otherwise in, and it's a little bit sort of comforting and relaxing. But I did show this video of us watching that video to a friend of mine who's a physician.
Should I show the video?
Please.
He couldn't get it.
He
didn't. He goes, you do a. He goes, what is this? You're doing a. What are you guys doing? I'm like, no.
Let me show.
Forget it. So I showed that to a friend of mine, and he literally I only time I ever seen another doctor behave like that was my father when I showed him season 1 of Celebrity Rehab. He was like, "What is that? What are you doing? What? What is that? How are you? What are you doing there?" And I was like, "Oh, If you don't get it, I can't explain.
The best part was Nadav laughing. It sounded like he was pooping himself. He was laughing.
Nadav was losing it. Nadav is the mastermind behind After Dark, and he appreciates good things.
Now, I can only imagine the impact that this show has had on your personal life. Susan, has it changed, Drew? Have you noticed any positive changes?
Well, I put up with 30 years of Loveline and pretty much heard everything I thought. But now that you see the graphics of the people that used to call in, it's all coming together in my mind. I mean, it doesn't bother me. It's almost like watching, I've watched the train wreck so many times that it doesn't bother me. There's something seriously wrong.
Well, the extraordinary thing about Christina and Tom is that's what I thought too until I met them.
Well, I'm endlessly amazed at Dr. Drew's ability to recognize the caller's needs immediately. This guy called in. He's like, I've been pulling my penis to make it bigger. And Drew goes, oh, you mean jelking? What kind? Are you pulling it or are you using weights?
Yeah, I said, are you jelking or using weights?
Oh, yeah.
And Christina's like,
that.
What? How does that work? Wait, here's a call for Christina. You ready for this? And it's a good one. It's a good one.
Okay.
All right. Cole, welcome to the program. Excellent question. Have at it.
Hello, Drew, and hello, Seeker.
Hi.
So I was wondering, with the great episode 550 and the recent one this Wednesday, Tom has been vomiting a lot, and I noticed, Christina, that you tend to have an aversion to that or a phobia. And I know, Drew, from what you said in the past, that the best way to treat a phobia is whatchamacallit?
Exposure
therapy.
So Tom's doing you a favor, Christina.
So
you understand? Tom is just complying with my recommendations, and Norman, strangely, is the vehicle.
Oh,
yeah.
I feel like I've been getting more puke in my life through having 2 children.
Mm-hmm.
That's really helped. I did hypnosis. That kind of helped, but maybe you're right.
Around the vomiting?
Yeah, do I have to do, what is it called? Immersion therapy?
Exposure therapy. Yeah,
exposure.
A little different, but it's all right. Tom's working it. He's working his way into it. I only saw him vomit once. Has it happened more than once now?
Yeah, people are the guests are now.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh yeah.
The guests are now dry heaving from the videos we're showing. So that's been troubling.
That
right?
happened
It's gotten a lot. It's gotten more intense for sure.
That happened to Jen Kirkman back when we used to look at the guy diving in the cesspool. Poor Jen has not spoken to me since, strangely enough, Christina. But she's the greatest, and she reacted, and she thought you needed to watch it so you would reduce your vomit phobia. So, Cole, thank you. Excellent question, my friend. Excellent question. Let me see what's on the restream here with you guys. I will be going over some of the COVID data a little bit later. French.
I wonder if I guess Caleb's screening the calls. So.
Oh, is Caleb doing that? Well, it's gone a little south here on the restream. It's gone a little south towards your mom's house. And
well, can I ask you a question in the
Please,
meantime?
go right ahead.
So, since this whole thing has started, I've been having social distanced walks every Sunday with a friend. We go out, we walk 6 feet apart out in the open air.
Yep.
And that's cool, right? I'm following proto.
Right. Yeah. Ideally, you'd also wear a mask, but I think you're perfectly fine. You're not coughing, you're not sneezing, you're not breathing hard. You're 6 feet apart, and moving, and you've got ventilation. In other words, the breezes. You live out there towards where there's a lot of sea breeze and whatnot here in Southern California, and there's almost no way for you to contract it at that distance. And in fact, China did a big study on this, where they looked at thousands of cases and they only found 1 outdoor transmission out of thousands of outbreaks. So I think you can pretty much rest assured. Hey, tell them about where my mom's at.
Oh, actually, I'm going to have Susan Pinsky on very soon.
This will be Norman level breakthrough. I'm
Oh,
telling you, she's the.
right.
I don't know. I'm bummed that I did not think of it before this, but she is your perfect guest for that show.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was thinking that too. Like it was
Yeah.
such a no-brainer.
Yeah.
So where my
Thank you.
mom's at is a podcast where we talk about mom stuff or parenting stuff, because a lot of men listen to the show from a very like real, relatable angle. It's stuff like how I sing to my son to wake him up and he absolutely hates it, and I'll play the audio of him screaming at me to stop. And yeah, we get real. And you've been on there. You were just on there.
Just on it. I don't think that's even up yet.
You can find all the links at yourmomshousepodcast.com.
That's
Yes.
right. Yes.
And then all the great Your Mom's House podcast. How many years you guys been doing that now?
I think 8.
Wow.
We started
Wow.
8
Isn't
years
that crazy?
ago, and now it's Studio Jeans, and we have Dr. Drew After Dark, Where My Mom's At, Tom Segura, and Espanol. And am I forgetting? Oh, 2 Bears, 1 Cave.
And the Ryan Sickler.
Honeydew, yes.
Honeydew.
But Ryan, yes, Honeydew. Yeah,
Great.
Studio Jeans, man.
It's been a great thing. I people seem to enjoy it. And the extraordinary thing to me is that your fans send you all this material. Although, I've been scrolling through TikTok a little bit lately looking for stuff for you. And it's kind of extraordinary how much stuff is in there that fits your needs.
Really? So you've been on the talk and you've been curating your own.
I don't know that I curate. I just go, oh, Christina needs to see this, but I don't know how to I don't know how to know, I don't know how to get it out.
I hear what you're saying. You got to save it to your phone and send it to me.
So it's like a push it, like I'd save a video or something, or
Yeah, like there's an arrow and you do, and then you save it. It's a whole thing, man.
So,
and I don't know if you want those talks saved in your phone. Let's be honest.
There's a random question about loose stools. That's a good one.
All right, here we go.
Oh.
Uh,
Do you talk about poop this much ever in your life before
No.
you did?
We get a lot of callers about this,
no,
though.
never this much.
No.
Never this much.
Alex.
Oh, this is
number
interesting.
4.
We actually have a couple interesting calls here, so let's do it. All right, Alex, go ahead.
Hey, Dr. Drew.
Hello.
Recent fan since coronavirus, huge fan of the Brown Talk, mostly since Norm has been going around, and I've been having some issues myself. I have loose stools every day, just like Tom, but it is not necessarily consistent. If I have any dairy, it'll go shamrock green. If I have too much protein, it'll go almost black. No blood in the stool, just so you know. But I just was wondering, with coronavirus and everything going on, is it safe to go see a gastroenterologist or somebody about this? I also have Ribonese stools. So
It is. Of course, it depends where you're at, but most physicians' offices, I mean, all of us are following state guidelines, and the state is loosening things up. You'll see that they'll take your temperature and they'll all be wearing masks, and everyone will have been tested. It's a reason. It's as safe as going to the grocery store or that sort of thing. It's not likely that the doctor is going to do any procedure with those kinds of complaints. How old are you now?
Gotcha.
How old are you?
So no or anything like that. It's just going to be whatever they can do in the office.
Yeah. The only how old are you?
29.
Okay. Have you had any travel?
Travel?
I mean, before all this hit, were you out of the country at all?
No. I do travel across country for work. I work in sports and entertainment. So I do travel between states. And
Okay.
during coronavirus, I did take a road trip home to stay with my parents because I thought I was going to get laid off.
Okay.
Back in Ohio. My dad's
any medication or supplements you take?
I take workout supplements, pre-workout, and amino acids, but nothing big.
Okay, so that might be part of the problem here. It's phenomenal how frequently the supplements can have adverse effects that people don't think about.
Turn your
But-
poop green?
But really, the only thing they're going to do, if they do anything at all, would do a stool culture. They examine the stool. They do culture, look for parasites, that kind of thing. But that's probably about all they're going to do with a little bit of complaint like that. I know it makes Christina happy, though, to be called. Let me quickly talk to Samantha. Thanks, Alex. Samantha, go ahead.
Hi, Drew. Hi, mommies. My boyfriend is severely he has hypochondria. I don't really know how to deal with it at all. So we've been dating for about 3 years, and he had a dog that he had since it was a puppy, and it died of a brain tumor. It had a seizure and a brain tumor. Pretty quickly he died.
Sure.
And he after that thought that he had a brain tumor.
Of course.
And I just don't know how to deal with that, because I'm the opposite when it comes to stuff like that. Like someone
Right.
has to push me to go to the doctor, you know?
Right. I get it. Has he been to the doctor multiple times doing that kind of thing?
Yeah, and most recently, that was a big one that happened, but he got over that. Most recently, he felt a bump on his balls, and he was convinced that it was testicular cancer,
Oh,
and
boy.
the doctor told him that it was not,
Yeah.
and he still is checking his balls all the time.
Right.
And
Yeah.
he's
Okay.
convinced that.
So, when guys get preoccupied, you're gonna love this, Christina. When
Yeah.
men get preoccupations about their penises or something about their testicles or the testicular skin, they cannot be reassured when they have anxiety disorder and OCD. I've literally seen patients that had seen 12 urologists and 20 dermatologists, and they all told them the same thing. It's nothing. Don't worry about it. And they're preoccupied, and that's an OCD and anxiety symptom, and they get better immediately with an SSRI. I mean, like, they just stop thinking about it. It's crazy, but I know that seems like a lot to, but so he needs to see he really needs to see somebody that knows how to deal with this kind of thing. A therapist would be a good idea if he doesn't want medication, but that therapist, if they have any experience with this, would probably refer them to a psychiatrist as well. Isn't that weird? Men with their preoccupations, and it's weirdly biological too. I've not seen it respond to psychological therapies. It just responds to medical therapy like immediately.
Wow. Yeah. Well, guys are always obsessed with their junk anyway, so that makes
Right.
sense.
And then if they get something triggers them and they have OCD, then it's a spiral they can't get out of.
God damn it. I was just talking to my shrink today about anxiety. I've been shopping on Etsy, buying this kind of stuff.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
Nice,
Yeah.
Emily.
Like cheapy, weird Etsy things
Mhm.
compulsively. I
Mhm.
find that when I get anxious now, I'm like, I got to go on Etsy and find a hamburger jacket. Like that. It's just, and she said that I should stop and think about the moment before, like what's triggering the
Yeah.
Etsy shopping
Yeah.
behavior. And I'm like, oh, I don't know, like the pandemic, the world.
Yeah, I know. How
all of this.
about working on a new hour special?
I wish I can't though, 'cause,
See, I think
that's what
that's
it is.
it. You got to put that mind to good use.
I
that's
get
the
weirdly aroused when I look at Saks Fifth Avenue. Like I get weirdly aroused. I don't know what it is. It kind of turns me on. I don't buy anything because I'm trying not to spend money, but it's weird.
problem. Yes,
It makes
that
me
is
feel
weird.
good.
What are you looking at? What items?
Just clothes and like purses and shoes and stuff that I can't buy. But I don't know. It's like weird. I get like a dopamine rush or something. It's weird.
Is that what it is, Drew? And then
That's
the
what it
Amazon
is.
shopping and
And it's also sort of going into a little bit of a alpha state, a different kind of
Yeah, maybe
meditative
taking my mind off of the
Yeah.
COVID-19.
But seriously, we got to
crisis.
use that mind of yours for good. We got to do an hour special. Tom.
I was ramping up to tape mine. I was supposed to tape it in October, and now everything is stopped. And stand up is half performing, half writing. So
See, I'm telling you, that's your Etsy problem.
it's stand up. I have to do stand up.
You have to do something creative and productive. And
Christina, are you on Cameo?
No.
We got to get you on Cameo.
Doing videos for people, that'd be
Yes.
great. That's what
Yeah.
Josh Potter does, sex work on there. He does shoulder hair vids. and stuff.
I'll suggest it.
it is
There's
one
a
of the
reason
most
for that.
disturbing things I've ever seen.
Not until next week. Wait until you see next week's episode of Your Mom's House. I bought professional tit cups. They had to come all the way from Europe. They cost a fortune. I spent like $800 on tit cups.
Oh my God.
And Josh is gonna do a little fashion show with that product. He's gonna sport those for a couple hours. How long are you gonna
just
stick
like,
it?
Just like Norman.
Yeah, but
the
Norman
guy-
had to wear them for like 8 hours. Is that what he's gonna do?
He could, well, you'll see what happens. I don't want to give it away too much, but you'll see it on the next episode of Your Mom's House, how long Josh Potter lasts. Now, maybe I could ask you this question,
Yes.
Dr. Drew.
Yes, ma'am.
How long would Josh have to do that suction thing to create boobs like Norm's?
Maybe never. I mean, Norm's sort of set up that way, right? It's enhancing a natural biology, a natural anatomical situation he's got there.
I see what you're saying. So you're saying he already has boobs.
Yeah, and he's just sort of enhancing.
Oh.
Hey, tell people about your background. There's actually people on my restream here that don't know you. So you grew up where?
Oh, I grew up in Southern California in the San Fernando Valley, 818, whoop, whoop. But I was born in Canada.
And your dad?
Oh, you're going to talk about my dad, are you?
We'll go right past it, but I'm going to give you a chance to talk about him.
So my parents were Hungarian immigrants and, escaped from Hungary in 1969.
In the communist takeover.
In the height of the communist era, which was dangerous. They risked their lives. And they had me, and then
they split up.
and then I became a comedian. Let's put it that way. Lots of stuff.
Before you became a comedian, though, you were a philosopher.
That's right. I studied philosophy at the University of San Francisco, and I did a year abroad at Oxford. I actually studied medieval and Renaissance philosophy, which
all 9 volumes.
Hot topic. People love talking about Thomas Aquinas.
It really is something that's on everyone's lips these days. So
I think
she's got to go.
Christina's got to go pretty soon. So
I know you got to go.
You want to take another
Thank you,
question
Mommy.
or talk about the restream before? I love you, Christina.
Wait, what, Susan?
I love you. Thank you for doing that.
Wait, what did you say about the restream?
Talk about the restream or take another question before she goes, or
No. I want to let her wrap her up and let her go.
Okay. Thank you so much, but I do want to talk to you about Cameo. So
and then I want you to get Susan
something
on
new and
where,
exciting
where
coming
my
down the
mom's
road.
at. This is a triplet mom.
I can't wait.
Yeah, and
Are you still traumatized from it, Susan, taking care of triplets?
Yeah, I have two 27-year-olds living here.
Yeah.
One didn't pay his registration on his car. I found out, I was like, what? You're in law school? Huh? How is that? But I have great kids. I don't want to shit on him right now because I don't want to get in trouble. But it's having triplets is amazing. Having Drew as a husband is like having quadruplets. So
I told you she'd be perfect for the show.
Oh, snap. We're going to see the other side. I can't wait.
Christina's very coy. She's very coy. She'll use a little hypnotic spell on you, get all kinds of information out. Not that you have any ability to filter anyway, but so.
Okay,
it's my one superpower.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me. I love you guys.
All right, love you too. See you. I think we're on next Monday, huh?
Yep.
Monday.
Yep, I'll see you then.
All right. Yeah, you guys will see each other
Bye,
Monday.
Mommy.
Until then.
Bye, Jeans.
Bye, Jeans.
So again, it's out Doctor After Dark.
Hollis
is asking what I think of Casey Anthony. Is she back in the news again? I always figured she would disappear. I did not believe that she was somebody that was a criminal that would sabotage herself again. I just thought she was a screwball that should not be raising children, basically. There are a lot of people like that these days.
Imagine that.
Okay, let's get to some calls here, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Okay, I'm just reading your questions. Wow. Okay.
We have a lot of callers. Thank you for calling, everybody.
Yes, indeed. I'll try to get to these. Jeff, go right ahead.
Dr. Drew, get it on.
Get it on, man.
Thanks for having me on. All right. So recently, over the past year or two, my mother's been having a lot of memory problems, maybe describing like dementia type symptoms. And recently, this past Monday, I received a call from my father and stated that police were called to the house and there's a domestic type dispute. The way he described it to me was that she ran into the bedroom at 5 a.m, started tearing everything apart, stealing her purse, and it ended up turning into a wrestling type match. Police were called, this type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He's not at the house, and I drove down to go see her, and she kind of started telling me her story that he's like planning a divorce, that he's planning a divorce, that he stole her purse.
Okay,
All
it
this
doesn't
type of
matter what
stuff.
look. At this point, it really doesn't matter what she's saying. Has she seen a neurologist?
No, she has not.
Okay.
I know. She may have in the past, actually. She's had.
She needs immediate
That's
medical
correct.
care. Immediate medical care. In fact, you could easily make a case for putting her in a psychiatric hospital and getting things stabilized and have a neurologist and a psychiatrist see her, because she's probably going to need both. Right now, though, the priority is neurological workup. You know, there are three common dementias: frontotemporal dementia, Lewy body dementia, and Alzheimer's disease. She has something. And by the way, there can be lots of other things. There can be infections in the brain. There can be tumors in the brain that can cause behavioral disturbances. So she immediately needs to see a neurologist and get a proper workup. I mean, that do not pass go. And if this happens again, she probably ought to go to the hospital to have the workup done. Okay?
Thank you. That helps. I have talked with her, and I have one more question. Like, she seems to be acting fairly normal, other than this, like kind of preoccupation of stealing her wallet and all that stuff. So she acts pretty normal.
How's her? How bad is her memory?
It's just she'll have like word finding type issues. We've had issues where she'll like get lost, like driving. Things like that.
Right.
But otherwise,
lost driving in familiar environments is a serious sign of dementia. That's something that needs to be dealt with. It can be other things, but that is where we typically differentiate what's called, minimal cognitive change, we call that, or some sort of normal word finding difficulties of aging with dementia. Because if you're getting lost in an indoor environment that's familiar to you, or an outdoor driving space where you've gone before, that is not normal. That is not normal for really any age. So please do get that looked at. And the behaviors can get really out of line. So before that happens, please. We're going to talk to Allie. Hi, Allie.
Oh, hi.
Hey there.
How are you?
Good. What's happening?
I'm a huge fan. I've watched all of Dr. Drew After Dark, all of Your Mom's House. Love it. My question is kind of vague, but I grew up, my mom isn't diagnosed, but from what I've learned from you and Katie Morton and Christina P. and Leanne, she has borderline personality disorder, almost every single hit on the list.
Mm-hmm.
And then my dad is a narcissistic alcoholic, so that's why I love watching y'all kind of talk about it. It makes me feel normal. I'm just curious if you have any advice I'm too poor to afford like a regular therapist, but I don't want to let it like tear me down at all, which
Right.
I do have a really good grasp on it.
Right. Where are you living?
But yeah. I just moved upstate New York, right outside the Catskills.
Oh boy, maybe a little tougher out there, but usually there are organizations often attached to teaching institutions where you can get prorated, cheap, or free therapeutic services. So kind of look around, see if there's anything like that near you. They usually can find something like that. I mean, they're not going to see you for long periods of time, obviously, because there's a lot of demand for that kind of thing. But just to kind of get something going. Have you done any reading on borderline?
I've just started kind of going down that path. I've also been looking into Al-Anon, which I had just now understand that it's not necessarily for alcoholics, that there's a different one for children or family members of alcoholics.
Right. And your dad's an alcoholic, so you definitely have all those Al-Anon issues too. Al-Anon would be great. Get a sponsor, work steps, and see if you can get somewhere with that. I mean, that's not the same thing as therapy, but that would be useful to you, I'm sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Yeah, like I said, it's not kind of ruining my life by any means, but I just want to keep it in check the older I get and the more life stressors that happen.
Yeah, it can't not affect you, right? I mean, this is sort of your map for who you are and what you fit with other people. And, it's a pretty defensive position I'm sure you're always in, with dad drinking and mom with the borderline stuff. And so what often happens, the Al-Anon issue, if we want to frame it that way, is that you don't have a good connection with your own feelings. Your feelings are sort of off in the distance and hard to connect to, and so your own spontaneous expressions of yourself get subjugated to other people. You're very focused on others, I'm sure, because that's how you survived in that family.
Yep.
You might look at Pia Melody's work. She does a lot of stuff in this sort of zone too.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, thank you
All
so
right.
much. I'm a huge fan, and
Thanks, Ellie.
I'll keep walking.
You bet. Good luck. Thanks for calling.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, let's go back to the restream. Somebody asked about sundowners for the caller whose mom had some suggestion of dementing illness. And yes, sundowning essentially is part of dementia. When the sun goes down, people get more confused and get more agitated and paranoid.
Interesting.
You never heard of sundowning?
Nope.
Really?
I am a lay person.
It's very, 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 very common. I'm looking through your restream, Susan. Was there something particular you saw?
I don't know
there?
if you came up. I don't know if they don't jump out at you.
My foxes, baby cakes. I don't know why you're saying Christina's disrespectful. I don't know what that was in response.
Oh, because she
to.
buys necklaces. They don't look very expensive, but it is kind of offensive if you can't afford anything right now. It's not really. She's not that
was
bad.
Disrespectful.
Because she's shopping online or whatever. We're all.
Here's somebody, Moonfox. I'm taking Lexapro every day, but sometimes forget it. 2 20 milligram tablets a day is a pretty good sized dose. So you could actually get a withdrawal syndrome from it if you stop it suddenly. So be very, very careful about that. You're going to want to taper that one down. Survivor of domestic violence, talking about deal with narcissists, sociopaths, and drunks. That's all part of the same stuff. That's true.
Bill Jefferson. I think he was the one. He has a question.
And
19-year-old son in sober living for the last 7 months, doing well. I'd like to hear his thoughts on sober living.
Sober living and residential treatment are a critical piece of treatment. If you or somebody you love has addiction, it's often overlooked. People have this bizarre notion that somehow 28 days they're going to be magically better from a chronic lifelong disorder, and it's just not so. 28 days gets people stabilized and sort of enrolls them in the treatment process. And much like any other illness where you start with a high level of intervention, then you step down to a lower level and you slowly step things down to lower and lower levels of care. So what we do in addiction treatment is you go inpatient, then you go residential, and then sometimes residential is you can kind of skip and sometimes go to sober living. Sober living often includes an outpatient treatment. That outpatient treatment will go for very long periods of time. You can sometimes go from sober living to some other sort of structured environment and continue your outpatient treatment. So it's a stepping down process, much like you would taper a medication. I was just telling that gentleman to taper his Lexapro. And that's how addiction works too. If you just go for a month and then stop suddenly, nothing really happens. You get exposed to some ideas, you get stabilized for a month, you return to the world you've always lived in as the person you've always been, and guess what? You continue the way you've always done.
Somebody asked if we plan on having a regular co-host.
Not at this point, I would say.
Who would you, I want to know who people would like if we did, because I've always thought about that.
Suggestions for that. We happily would take that.
I have a few in mind, but not regular. It's hard because of, we don't make that
have I seen hyperbaric oxygen treating COVID? I'm familiar with hyperbaric oxygen treatments. I've not seen it be used in COVID. So it makes sense to me that people might try it, but I've not heard any real results with that. There's certainly hyperbaric oxygen chambers around here, and I've not heard anybody using them.
Lots of phone calls.
Oh, okay. Well,
I know. I'm maneuvering you.
Okay.
Getting you.
All right, here. Oof.
A lot of them.
All right, Valerie, let's try to tackle this. This is a really good question. Valerie, go right ahead. This is a tough question.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. What's happening?
So I travel for a living weekly, and I was wondering after every flight if I should get tested for COVID.
It's a great question. Are the airlines getting any guidance on what they're doing for their flight attendants? I wondered about this because I'm not hearing.
Well, I'm a flight attendant, but it's pretty close. I can't really tell you what I do, but I know, like, we have to wear the mask. Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. We have to wear the mask. Everybody does on the plane, and that's about it.
So they're not giving guidance on testing or exposure or what to do.
No, there's no
That's
guidance
weird.
or
Oh,
none
boy.
of that. And surprisingly, I was in Europe in March and February, and I swore, and I was very sick in February. I had the exact symptoms, but I took the antibody test and it came back negative.
All right. So
And I
here's
took
something
that
about
maybe, like,
let me first talk about the antibody test. There was some guidance from the CDC yesterday. The antibody test is not accurate. It's a woefully inaccurate test, unfortunately, both in terms of false negatives and false positives. So most, it seemed like what the CDC was encouraging yesterday was take it more than once, because it's a relatively low, it's actually low incidence, this disease still. I know it seems like it's everywhere, but it's actually still low incidence. And so you're a little more likely to get a false result than a positive result or a negative result that's true. So definitely take that again. Are the unions coming up with any guidelines? The pilots unions or the flight attendants unions? It just seems weird to me that the state is being so fastidious, thinking every little thing through with restaurants and retail environments, but nobody's helping the aviation industry. Am I correct on that?
Yes.
Wow.
Right. We haven't had any guidance at all.
Because one of the reasons I was wondering that is I would like to return to air travel myself, but I would like to know that something systematic was being done with the personnel there. Huh.
Right. And the planes are this weekend, and my flight was full. You know, kids, animals, service animals.
Wow. And I wish they would also, oh my gosh.
They have to be, because there's not that many flights out there. Like, they're packing everybody in.
Right.
That's also true, yeah. It's like, I'm out of New York, and it's been usually there's, 500 flights a day, and I think there's like maybe like 50 or 100.
The question really remains, though, oh man, this is a really tough thing. So how does testing you regularly help you? It really doesn't, does it?
No, not really.
It helps you make sure, which I think the airlines would be interested in this. It helps make sure you're not an asymptomatic carrier, which would be a nice thing to know, wouldn't it? I would think to rule that out. I mean, I think it's reasonable. I don't know if you come to Los Angeles, but the LA County has a remarkably good testing setup where you're allowed to repeat your tests if you want. And so it would seem to me that at the level you're traveling and without any symptoms, it'd be great if you did it every couple of weeks. You'd be protecting the public. But I don't. Okay. The question is, what's your obligation? And I would appeal to, if you have a union, appeal to them to come up with some guidelines, because, I would personally, if it were me, I would call a local department of health, and I would also try to reach out to the CDC and see if I could get some formal guidelines. Okay?
Great, thank you.
Yeah, really interesting.
Good luck with that.
Sorry you're dealing with that. And
I can't wait to fly, but it makes me nervous.
It does make me nervous. And I just wonder, let's see if anybody in the Restream have any suggestions about this.
Well, I know, like,
temperature before
United's
boarding,
giving everybody
masks,
wipes for at the instead of peanuts, and also everybody wears masks. And I mean, that's how I used to fly. I never got sick ever flying and using Clorox wipes when I got on the plane. Seems to help. And they're also cleaning the planes more, but if you sit next to somebody who's got it, you have to take that into consideration.
Good, excellent.
So we had a few suggestions for co-hosts.
Oh yeah, who?
Me? No,
we already are.
I'm the engineer.
Yeah.
Robert Paul Champagne. Summerton, who's that?
That's the pig man.
Pig man.
Norman.
Steve-O, he's already got a show.
He'd be busy.
Adam, he's already got a show.
Adam's hard to corral.
Yeah. Duncan Trussell, he's already got a show. But Kevin Ryder.
Oh, that would be interesting, wouldn't it? Yeah. Okay, that's an interesting idea. Thank you for that.
Maybe not a regular one. We could test it out and see how it goes. And
okay. Interesting idea.
I wonder what he's doing. I don't have his phone number, though. You have to give it to me.
Peter has a question about Ambien. Peter, go right ahead. Hi, Peter.
Hi. Thanks for taking the call.
You bet.
So I've been taking Ambien for going on 12 years now.
Jeez.
12.5 ml extended release. I'm 28 years old. I'm worried about the long-term side effects or consequences
Yeah.
that could be causing from this.
Well, and you've not escalated at all, correct? You've not increased the dosing at any point?
It's increased to this. I've been on 12.5 for going on, I think, 7 years now.
Have you ever worried about having an addiction to something?
No, there's no addiction that runs in the family or
Okay.
with myself.
All right. So
But I am worried about the over-reliance.
The dependency. So, couple things. It's very difficult to get off benzodiazepine. You've been on that long. Your sleep is going to be a mess for quite some time. So somebody's going to have to kind of help you with that, probably with other pharmacological agents. Number two, being on this kind particular of benzodiazepine can put you at risk for seizure. You could suddenly have a seizure. You're not in very large doses, so it's not likely to be the case, but people do suddenly have seizures sometimes when they've been on this for a long time. And there has been concerns periodically in the medical literature that long-term use of benzodiazepines, this is related to, can be related to dementia later in life. So it's not what you call healthy. So you're going to have to get at some point, bite the bullet, I suspect, and find a doctor who can help you kind of taper down, find a way off. And it's going to be a little rough. I'm not going to kid you. And hopefully, have you ever missed a dose?
Occasionally, and I won't take it when I drink, fortunately. So, there's not taking it with alcohol, of course. But whenever I don't take it, it's largely because I'm pretty drunk and don't want to do it, and that'll pass me out for a few hours at least. Yeah. But without it, it's pretty reliant to get 7 hours of sleep without it.
And JH asked if I'm putting Ambien in the benzodiazepine class. I'm a little sloppy in doing that, but it has the same physiology and stuff as benzodiazepine. It's technically hypnotic, but I've seen a lot of this stuff from long-term use of Ambien. But usually, it's in the world I've been in, it's usually the shorter acting, the 10 milligram, and it's lots of it that people sort of escalate the dose. So probably if I were to help you get off it, I would switch you probably over to the short acting and start tapering it down in various ways. And then I might use some Neurontin or phenobarbital to sort of counteract some of the withdrawal symptoms if they develop. But, and again, it's possible a doctor might say to you, hey man, just stay on it, don't worry about it. I mean, that's not a totally unreasonable thing to say. I just worry about it. And you can start having memory. It's just not. You notice any memory issues from it?
So, I mean, my girlfriend always gives me crap for, some short-term memory loss, but I think she's, I really don't think too much of it. Nothing that I can pinpoint on.
And at this point, I'm not sure I would call it loss. I would call it side effect of the medication, but it does affect memory. It just does. Yeah. So, all right, man. Thanks for that call, Peter. Appreciate it. Let me try to get through. We have lots of callers here, and I'm sorry if I don't get. Oh boy. Oh boy. All right, let's try this.
What's up? What's wrong?
Dallas. Let's give it a shot. Go ahead, man. Hi, Dallas.
Hey, there's my guy. What's up, Doc? Hey,
what's on, buddy?
Actually, you know what? Is that mommy in the background? Stop. Anyways, Doc, you answered a question for me before because I marinated my lungs with vape juice. Anyways, moving on. So, yeah, on his other show with Tommy Buns. Go check it out. Look, I used to be a real bad alcoholic. Whole family's alcoholics, all of them. And I thought I had a real bad problem, but my counselor told me I'm actually a dopamaniac.
A what?
So,
a what?
Not really a dopamaniac is what he called it. So I get off on dopamine rushes. But alcohol was my thing. I had 3 DWIs, total 3 cars.
All alcoholics do that. That's part of having addiction.
Yeah,
yes.
So, I mean, waking up in parking lots and all sorts of fun stuff.
Yeah.
But I've been sober a year. As of Mother's Day, it was 1 year since I hit rock bottom, got my 3rd DWI, all that stuff. And I've been sober, and I'm a comedian, and my counselor says it's not a matter of if I'm going to relapse, it's a matter of when, because I'm constantly performing in shithole bars and, comedy clubs where they're just having me peddle booze. But here's the thing. Since I've been sober, the thought of touching alcohol is so fucking disgusting to me. Like, I don't once I got away from it, it's the last thing. Like I'd rather eat moose soup and fucking it all day.
No, I understand,
than
and
touch food.
you're fortunate that you have that feeling about it right now. But if that feeling shifts, you're at the mercy of the whole thing, which is why you have to get a sponsor. You have to work steps. This is where the program kicks in here. This is where the program helps you if things shift or if you start having difficulty. It's why you have to do that. You have to change things, or else you're just treading water. And one of these days, some other feeling will come over you, and that's the end of that.
That's great, though. He doesn't have any urge for alcohol. That's awesome.
No, I understand, and that's a blessing. But that
It's
doesn't usually.
it's like completely out of my. And here's the thing: since I've been sober, like my comedy career has taken off. My job, I got a job where I'm making crazy good money for me, and I don't have an education. Dropped out of high school. You know what I mean? So I'm doing better. Everything is worlds better for me. And like even when girls will hit on me and they smell like booze, I'm like, ugh, bimbo, get away from me, you know?
This is great,
So
and it's good. It's a blessing.
It's completely.
I just don't. I've never seen that last, and so it's great, and it's a blessing right now. But it worries me, which is why again, that this is what your counselor is telling you too. The same thing. But if you had a program that would capture you, that would help you should things shift. That's all. But that's up to you.
Yeah, but my counselor's a real chomo. I mean, hands down. And it's like court ordered. It's not like I went and got this stuff. It was court ordered. But I quit drinking before I started doing counseling. I quit all that, and it's like no other drug. I can do any other drug or smoke or anything, and it doesn't affect me. And I know if I touch booze, it's over. So I don't want.
Well, the other ones will kick in eventually. But here's the deal: the people that do the best are the ones that struggle with the cravings and the feelings, because they would then work a program. It's usually the people that feel like they've got it all together that it sneaks up around and gets them. That's been my experience. I hope that's not what happens to you, but that's been my experience. And that's what your counselor is telling you too. And so there's two of us now saying the same thing. I wonder why we would do that. Are we just making that up? Has that not been our experience? Are you the one exception?
Did you hang up on him?
He's in the queue. Why?
Oh, thank you for calling. That was a good question.
But it's very concerning. Yeah, you're working in an environment where you're exposed to it all the time, and on the road. I hope that disdain for it continues, and I hope the other substances don't kick in, because that's the other thing that tends to happen.
Monica Wellen likes Dallas.
There's Monica.
Hi, Monica.
Gus asked,
Monique, sorry, not Monica.
Monique, yeah. I'm confused. Hydroxychloroquine, safe or unsafe? Hydroxychloroquine Plaquenil has been used for decades. It is completely safe medication for rheumatic patients. Prescribed it. I don't even know how many times I prescribed it and never seen a single side effect myself. It looks like there may be some potential adverse effect associated with advanced COVID patients. We still don't know yet if it's good for prophylaxis or for early COVID, but it's an extremely safe, very commonly used medication. In fact, chloroquine is available over the counter in most countries because they have malaria prophylaxis there, and people get it over the counter. Not most countries. Most countries where malaria is an issue. And hydroxychloroquine is a lot better than chloroquine in terms of safety. I prescribed chloroquine back in the day. That was our main malaria prophylaxis all the time. It was very, very, very common. Okay, let's see.
I'm so happy you have all these calls.
Yeah, well, I get unhappy because I never get to everybody.
I know.
That bothers
it's hard.
me.
Well, that's typical.
Hold on here. Okay, this is interesting. Russell. Thank you for the call, Russell. What's going on, man?
Hey, Dr. Drew. Thanks for taking the call. I've been struggling with the feeling of helplessness because my wife and we both have jobs we can do from home, and essentially we're fine. This is just kind of an inconvenience at worst. And I feel like, I don't have enough money to do any good just giving money out to people or whatever. I don't know if that makes sense. I feel like there's so many people struggling, and I'm not sure what to do.
You feel guilty.
And yes, I feel guilty. Almost like survivor's guilt, but that's too strong a term for it, I think.
Here's what we need. Blood products. go give blood. You will be doing something very useful, and it will not cost you anything, and you have plenty of it, and we need it. So, Russell, please.
And I'm positive.
Oh, perfect. But here's the deal. I've been saying this for a week or so. Here's the Red Cross information, and people are not doing it. So you will be taking the bull by the horn, allowing your guilt to motivate you, and doing something that will help people. And if you bring a few of your buddies with you or get your wife in there, you really, we interviewed, 2 weeks ago?
It's like you can go like every 6 weeks or something.
Particularly if you know somebody that has convalescent plasma. I mean, my God, we need that.
If you had COVID-19.
Yeah.
That's what that means.
But Russell, and then you can stop feeling guilty. You will have done something that I can't get other people to do. And so I'm counting on you. I'm counting on you. If you can drum up a little action with other folks, it really will make a difference. Okay.
I'll do my best. I'll be boots on the ground.
Yeah, don't feel guilty, man. Just
get a bunch of people to go.
And here's the deal about service. Let it be one person. Let it be somebody you pay attention to. It does not have to be. We've gotten too sort of Anna Jolie about this. What's her name? Yeah, Angelina Jolie. Where these sweeping, we're supposed to make these sweeping gestures. That is not as helpful oftentimes.
Like Christina shouldn't feel guilty for buying a necklace because she has a job. She works very hard.
She doesn't have a job. All of her stuff is taken away.
Yeah, but they still have the podcast, and she obviously has. She's not buying expensive items, but it is kind of discouraging to your friends when you're making money and they're not.
Right. And we did so many streams of all the organizations out there that need your help. So if you're interested in, just look back through our archives here, and you'll see many, many different organizations that really need to help. But I feel like a lot of focus on food in this country, and blood is what we need. Food, we've almost overdone it, I suspect. Blood. We need blood. We need blood products. And I'm telling you, that's going to be the shortage. What's that, Susan?
Kids need food. There's still food issues in some areas.
Are there? Where?
I don't know. The kids that aren't in school, and
I'm hearing that that's all getting quite well taken care of.
I hope so.
There certainly has been giant preoccupations and services in that direction. So
that's sweet though that he feels guilty.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I feel bad for America. I know we're blessed. I feel terrible what's going on.
Hey, what I feel bad about, amongst the same stuff that Russell was talking about, is how these numbers have just become numbers. There's lots of people involved here that lives have been affected by this, both the unemployment side and by the COVID itself. And I don't know how we understand the numbers and learn how to react to it and work with it, and at the same time be compassionate for how many people's lives are upside down.
How do you feel about those riots in downtown LA last night? And also, I
get the frustration, and I can't believe we're still talking about this after all these different years of this issue being top of mind. But I can't endorse people vandalizing and attacking police and this kind of thing. You just can't. Don't let yourself get swept into that. I think that then it doesn't serve the cause. It doesn't serve the cause.
What are you guys talking about on Fox tonight?
I don't know. I was just going to call and find out. And we were
probably more about the riots.
A little bit about that because it's been a big story here in Los Angeles. But we're trying to go back to COVID. We had I believe we have the head of the Department of Mental Health coming in, and we are having a really serious problem. That's next is going to be the mental health crisis. We're seeing an increase in suicide, alcoholism. I mean, there's a lot going on of unintended consequence from the actions that we have taken here. And this is the part that our leaders have to navigate. It's not like you pull one lever and it's just good. You pull one lever and it's good in one area, it starts having problems in other area. Monique, I kind of agree with you there. That would be nice, wouldn't it, if somebody like that emerged? Okay, I want to wrap things up. I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you for Christina P. for being a part of the
and all the
show
all
tonight.
the calls.
Callers, you've been great, and I'm sorry I couldn't get to everybody. We will be here.
Go to drdrew.com and find all the links to Dr. Drew After Dark, The Adam Drew Show, all these podcasts, and sign up at drdrew.tv for our show that's coming on Monday. If you want to get notified when it starts, we have the adorable
Jimmy O Yang. Jimmy O Yang will be here on Monday. You know him from a bunch of movies and also Silicon Valley. And
Crazy Rich Asians.
Crazy Rich Asians. Yeah.
He's got a new movie too. I can't remember the name of it, but he's coming. He's going to be zooming in. He didn't want to come in because he's still quarantining.
Good enough.
He's not ready. And then maybe Fred Stoller will make a little cameo at the end.
Andrew, you have a question about cross-reactive T-cell responses from coronavirus infections. I am working with a company that's studying exactly that, trying to identify sort of a T-cell, how should we call this, preloaded T-cells that might be useful in determining, amongst other things, immunogenicity and vaccine response. So it's all that area is very interesting to me, Andrew. I appreciate you bringing that up. I have a feeling it's going to be more used in vaccine than in any therapeutics. That's what I suspect. But we'll see. It's a way of documenting certain kinds of immunogenic responses as well. All right. So did I leave anything else out? So what are we doing tomorrow?
Very comprehensive. I think I'm going to take tomorrow. Oh, I don't know. What are we going to do? Oh, we're waiting to hear if Fred Stoller can get his barber to do a Zoom meeting and teach him how to cut his hair.
That would be tomorrow?
Yeah, we're working on that. It might be tomorrow. If not, then maybe next week. I don't know. I'm negotiating. We're not going to be doing. We'll be just taking Restream questions if we go to Laguna. So
that'd be probably Saturday or Sunday?
Yeah. So, I don't really have anything planned yet. I'm working on it. So,
okay,
we'll be back Monday for sure, taking people's questions. And, let's all, aim for that. Go to drdrew.tv, sign up. You'll get notified when we start. And you can ask more questions with Jimmy Oyang and Dr. Drew. In the meantime, it's all kind of up in the air at this point, and we appreciate your patience because I like to take a couple days off.
Christine, I'm not quite sure what Christine, I'm not sure what you're talking about in terms of the Red Cross. Jennifer said, Red Cross tell them not to take temps and have people remove their masks. I agree with that.
Well, they shouldn't be putting it in your mouth anyways. They should use one of the ones like we have.
I have a feeling the Bloodmobiles may be a more contained way to do this. That's what I'm looking for.
Just
I'm trying to figure out where the Bloodmobile is, and I'm going to try to go visit it myself.
It's redcrossblood.com to find your local location.
Christine, why no temperatures? Were they doing it with a infrared device, or were you saying they're putting something in your mouth? Why did you leave if they were taking temperatures? Just want to get clarity on that. Yeah, I'm glad you went. In Vermont, that's where she went.
It's got to be frustrating though, because you walk in and you don't know what's.
Oral would probably just be with one of those little slips, though, right? Those little what do you call those little paddles? Little throwaway paddles. I'm sure you could ask for a infrared. When I went there, they just did an infrared shot. One of these devices.
Oh, it's in the drawer over there, honey. Or is it on the? Or is it on there?
Oh, here it is.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I cleaned up.
These devices, these are they're nothing to this, right? And it goes on. That's it. That's my temperature. You're looking at it right there.
Everybody needs one of those.
96.6.
When are those going to be available?
This is Bercom, BERRCOM, through Red Hawk Products. The same guys that make the needle destruction device.
Are they for sale now?
I don't think they have them widely available yet. They told me they would tell me when they have it.
Okay, so. We'll definitely promote it. But once again, go to redcrossblood.org and donate. And I'm sorry if you have problems there, but we don't really have any control over that.
Oh, you didn't want to remove your mask for the oral temperature. I get it. Yes.
Why would they do an oral temperature?
I don't know.
Maybe they don't have good.
We need to get the Red Cross up to speed with these devices. There's nothing to it. These things work.
Let's talk to these people and see if we can help with that.
Yep. Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining us. And we will see you hopefully like Saturday, probably. We'll do a little stream in the afternoon or morning. Susan, that sound about right?
Yeah.
Right?
We'll just take Restream questions, though, because I don't have I don't want to do any more
calls. That's fine.
Or Zooming on there. We'll just save the weekends for questions on Restream.
Okay, perfect.
Because it's just, I don't know. When I get my new computer, eventually we'll be able to do it. But I just have problems I don't want to deal with this week.
All right, guys. We'll see you during the weekend. Have a good weekend.
All righty.